Do you ever wish you had a few simple and quick acting exercises to help bring you out of a sluggish funk or help you rid anxious energy and feelings of being on edge? If so, be sure to keep watching this video because I have some great tips to share with you today. But first, if you are new here, hi, I'm Dominique, and this channel is all about helping you heal wholeheartedly, mind, body, and soul to become your best self. If this sounds like the type of inspiration you desire in your life, then I invite you to hit subscribe down below. In today's fourth and final part of my Nervous System Regulation 101 series, I'm going to be sharing 3 simple methods to help upregulate or downregulate your nervous system depending on what state you're in. If you're a little unsure of what I'm talking about, then I invite you to pause this video and head over to part 1 of my nervous system regulation series because I go into detail on the autonomic nervous system and how the different states affect our mental well-being. Once you're caught up on the nervous system, then make your way back to this video because I'm sharing some great techniques that you can start to implement today. I first want to start with a disclaimer because everything that I share on this channel is based off of my own personal experience and opinions. So I invite you to try and implement the ideas and techniques that feel good to you. However, I always recommend you check in with your primary care physician regarding any questions or concerns you may have on the exercises or tips that I share with you, and especially before you begin implementing them into your own routine. So the first method I want to talk about to assist in regulating your nervous system is incorporating breath. Now, breath work is an incredibly powerful practice because it can be used in all states, whether we are in ventral and wanting to really anchor ourselves into that state of being present. We can also use it to help expel excess energy, being in the sympathetic state. And then if we're feeling low mood and low energy, it's a wonderful tool to use in the dorsal state. Now, the 2 breathing techniques that I want to share with you are going to be specifically for whether you're in the sympathetic nervous system state or the dorsal vagal state. If we start with dorsal vagal, this is going to be when we're feeling low mood, low energy, exhausted, and we're needing a boost of energy brought into our nervous system. So when it comes to breath work, the breath of fire is a powerful practice to help enhance that energy throughout our body and to wake up the system. When you're using the breath of fire technique, it's the exhale that we're looking to have short little bursts of exhalation. And so you can see a little bit here with my hands, how they're kind of popping forward as my belly is exhaling. And after I do a few of those breaths, I'm pausing and I'm checking in with myself. This is the process that you want to make sure you're following with any of the techniques, is checking in prior to using them to get a baseline for how you're feeling. And then after using the technique, checking in again to see if you notice any change. Especially with breath of fire, the change that you want to sense is just a little more energy or buzzing moving through your body. And if it feels like that you're still in that low mood or low energy, then you can go ahead and do another round of it. Again, at the end, checking in with yourself. The second breath pattern that I want to share with you is for when you're in the sympathetic nervous system state. And this is going to be a 1 to 2 breath pattern. So it's an inhalation of 1 and an exhalation of 2. For example, if you're inhaling for a count of 4 seconds, you would exhale for a count of 8 seconds. This is going to incorporate this same checking in with yourself prior to the practice and checking in with yourself again afterwards. I recommend that you first start the breathing practice just with your normal breath, not overthinking it, but just getting a sense for how your natural breath pattern is. Do you inhale longer than your exhale, or do you find that it's the opposite? Is your breathing shallow, Could you maybe lengthen it a little bit more? After you go through a few repetitions, check in with yourself and see where you're at in your nervous system. Are you feeling a little bit more calm, less buzzing energy in your body? Are you feeling more present within your environment? Are you feeling less tension throughout your body? And this again is going to be your guiding factor here, is that check in after completing the breath work. If you feel you need to do another round, then go ahead and do so. So the second method I want to share when it comes to regulating your nervous system is using your posture. Now, the amazing thing about our posture is that it affects every single one of our nervous system state because it greatly affects our vagus nerve. If you remember me talking about the vagus nerve in past videos, then you might remember that the vagus nerve transfers 80% of our sensory information from our body to our brain, and only 20% is received from the brain to the body. So our vagus nerve plays a major role in our mental well-being, and posture greatly affects this. When it comes to practicing posture for regulating the nervous system, we want to make sure that we're seated in a chair that has good support. It's not too high, it's not too low. The best way to know if it's the proper setup for you is to see if your hips, your bottom, is slightly above your knees. This would be ideal sitting position for you. You also want to make sure that your feet are able to be firmly placed on the floor to really give a sense of support and grounding. When we think about how our posture can be affected by our moods, you may think a slouched, kind of slump posture could represent someone who just isn't feeling good or is low energy and tired and just maybe not in the mood to do much of anything. So when we're in that dorsal state, bringing our posture to a more upright position signifies energy movement throughout the body. It signifies hope. It signifies confidence and can bring about this state of just greater mental well-being simply by adjusting the posture to be more upright. When we're focusing on bringing our posture upright, we don't want to over-exaggerate it. So we don't want to be straightening up so much that we're arching through the lower back. And of course, we're trying to avoid that slumped and slouched posture. So we're finding that happy medium. And the best way to do this is to feel where your sits bones, which are those bony prominence, when you're sitting in a chair, you can feel kind of poking into the chair. You want to feel your weight being shifted more on the sits bones and less rolled back onto the muscle or the meat of your tush. And of course, again, avoiding any excessive arching through the lower back. So once you've found that happy medium with the weight evenly distributed on your sits bones, you then want to have your hands just resting lightly on your thighs. Again, feet firmly placed on the ground, and just bring your attention to what you're sensing throughout your body. This is again another type of checking in to get a feel for what state your nervous system is in. Do you feel tension throughout your jaw or shoulders? If so, put your focus into letting those muscles relax and soften as you maintain that nice tall posture. Or maybe you feel like you're wanting to just melt back into the chair and that posture is just feeling very fatiguing. If that's the case, then put your attention more so into gently squeezing the shoulder blades back towards each other to lengthen a little bit more through your spine. And this is where it's great to take notes. When you're implementing these practices, taking notes prior to the practice and after is a way for you to record and of course remember what is working for you and what might not be working for you, because it really is a lot of trial and error when it comes to all the different regulating practices that are out there. And of course, the best way to know what is working for you is to keep track of it. Okay, so lastly, the third method I want to share for regulating your nervous system is movement. So movement is going to look very different depending on what state you're in. And I'm focusing specifically on the dorsal vagal and the sympathetic nervous systems. So we're going to start with the dorsal vagal state. And this is again when we're feeling very low energy, low mood, and sluggishness. So you may not really be interested in doing much movement. So we want to start from a place of just energizing the body more gently. And the way to do this is to incorporate tapping. So when it comes to incorporating tapping for energizing your nervous system, I like to start with just some light squeezing along the arm. So you just kind of squeeze in the muscle almost like you're giving yourself a little massage. And from here, I like to then incorporate some really light tapping. And I'll close my fist and make just a very, very soft fist and keep the wrist very loose, almost like it's rubbery. You definitely do not want to go hard with this. It is just a very gentle tap or thump against your arms and then moving down to the legs as well. The legs, you can also give a good squeeze up and down them, apply that tapping, and doing this for even 30 seconds, then pausing and checking in with yourself is a great place to start. Now, after you check in with yourself and you feel that you still just don't quite have that energy to get yourself moving, try and go through that process again. You can really go through this process as many times as is needed. Of course, again, make sure you're going gentle with the tapping. You don't want to leave yourself all beat up and bruised. Now, when it comes to the sympathetic state, this is when we have mobilization, we have energy that is just needing to be released, creating anxious thoughts. Maybe you're feeling angry or even fearful. You just have this excess energy that needs releasing. So movement is a vital part in releasing energy as well as creating energy. So when it comes to the sympathetic nervous system, shaking is a powerful technique to use. For the shaking technique, you would start with your arms and simply just lightly shaking them like you have water on your fingers and you're trying to get that water off your fingers. And then you can kind of start to let the arms flap a little bit more with the shaking, bringing on more intensity. So carrying on here, bringing in the legs when you feel good about it or if it feels right to you, shaking through the legs, letting the arms kind of swing and flow naturally. Really doing whatever your body feels best with and feels it needs. Shaking is an activity that I incorporate a lot into my own regulation routine. I'll even incorporate this when I'm at work, when I'm in the physical therapy clinic and I feel my nervous system is just starting to get a little bit too energized because of overwhelm. What I like to do is I'll sneak off to the restroom and I will literally just start doing my shaking routine in the restroom. I will literally do my shaking practice right there in the bathroom stall. And it just works for me. I know this is one of my go-to techniques that I can rely on when I feel that sympathetic state just creeping up and that excess anxiousness and jitteriness. And after doing the shaking for about a minute, I'll pause and I will check in with myself and just assess my nervous system to see how much energy I'm still feeling within it, or if I feel like a sense of calm has come across me because I was able to rid myself of this excess energy. If you guys have enjoyed this Nervous System Regulation 101 series, then I want to share some exciting news with you. I'm in the process of creating an online course called Anxious to Zen, which is your personal roadmap to overcoming anxiety by incorporating mind and body work to finally live your best life. I've just opened up the waitlist, so if you want to learn more, head below into the description box. I have it linked right there for you. And this launch is going to be a special one because I am giving a special discount to those of you who sign up for my very first launch of Anxious to Zen. Now, depending on when you're watching this video, I can't guarantee that this special discount is still going to be going going on, but I highly recommend that you still get on the wait list because I will be launching this course throughout the year. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments below. Of all the videos in this series, which was your favorite one and why? I love to hear your guys' insight and feedback. And also be sure to hit that like button so I know to create more videos like this. If you have made it through this series, then I want to thank you so very much for your kind support. I do this for you guys because I've been there and I know how lonely and frustrating it can be. And my goal is to show you that you have so much more power than you know, and healing is 100% possible. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, be sure to go ahead and do so. That way you don't miss out on any new content. Until next time, I'm sending you so much healing love.